Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Superficial Spirit. It's me, the most famous person in your ear, at least for this hour. And I am here with not the star of Love is Blind, but possibly the star of Love is, oh, he's so fine. I just made it up. I literally just made that up.
Amazing. Good one. Um,
Oh,
Derek, what I lack in humility, I make up for by being hot and rich.
oh my God, I didn't know you're rich. Why are you just telling me this?
I'm not rich.
Okay, so you're a liar. Got it.
I
Noted.
I just thought the contrast was funny. What I lack in humility, I make up for by being hot and rich.
I like it.
You can't be both. Okay.
Um, Speaking of being rich, I'm reading this article in Wired right now. Wired is like a tech magazine, and Evan bought a subscription kind of impulsively because I don't know, we read it while we were traveling one day, and there was a great article. Anyway, blah blah blah. And this issue is about the AI overlords, quote unquote overlords, that are behind Chat GPT, and it sort of like talks about the history of AI and how we've gotten here and how the end goal. I'm only halfway through the article, so I might report back later, but what they're trying to create is something called artificial general intelligence, which is essentially like a computer that can think freely and has enough information that can be what I think everybody envisions AI being, the scary robots who have autonomy and maybe sentience or at least self-awareness. So I'm at that point in the article, and they're talking about how in these contracts that they've established with their investors, there is a clause, a financial clause that basically saves them from when the AI hits this point of artificial general intelligence, it will likely reimagine the global economy. Money will become something that we can't possibly imagine at this point, and therefore be obsolete. And there's this clause in the contract protects the creators of the AI from this. It's really, really kind of like a mind fuck to think that this AI would get to a point that once it's there, the global economy has changed. But these billionaires, honey, they're saving themselves. They got those clauses.
Is that who the AI overlords are? Are they Elon Musk? I mean, doesn't he run
Okay,
OpenAI,
okay.
OpenAI, which which makes Chat GPT? Isn't that?
So yeah, Musk was part of it in the early days. And then he wanted to basically be the sole controller of ChatGPT, and they said no. So he left and
Uh,
took his money with him. So he was part of it in the early days, but he's not anymore. It's this there's three people so far in the article. And I actually felt kind of hopeful reading it because the article is really positioning these people as creating AI with the hope that it solves problems that humanity hasn't been able to solve for themselves. So all of these, they didn't say specifically, but what I'm envisioning is like wealth disparity, the environment, like people in countries that have not enough food to eat, things like that. Um, isn't that a nice idea to think that AI would solve all those problems? But then always in the back of my mind, I'm like, but we live in a capitalist society. Is that really realistic? As soon as it's unleashed onto the world, how do we know it's going to stay on the right track? But they seem to be, at least at this point in the article, doing their due diligence to keep it in the right parameters. And they're really trying to unleash this power on the world with a way that kind of protects us from the awful things that people say, like AI killing humans, essentially. Very, very interesting because we've talked about this, can you stay good? Can you stay true? Can you stay connected to humanity if you become $1 trillion company and the inventor of AI that essentially is a tipping point for humanity? Like, is it possible? Can you stay nice? Are you really going to care?
Maybe we'll see. I mean, it's sort of the least they can do to ensure that it doesn't go on a murderous rampage because no one would want to buy that. No investors will buy that. So
Yeah.
at least we can be sure that if capitalism will do anything, it will save us from murderous robots.
Yeah, and they bring up this Dr. Evil analogy a few times. They say if they unleash something onto the world that can generally speaking, most people will use it for work, will use it for good. It's generally going to be a positive experience, but they use the Dr. Evil example of if it does get into the wrong hand and somebody creates something that is irreversible, that would be very, 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 very bad. And generally speaking, it's in the best interest. It's kind of like the mutually, what is that thing that they have? Is it NATO where mutually assured destruction? Like if one person sends the bomb, then everybody's going to send the bomb and then everybody's going to die. It's kind of like that with AI. Like if you really open the door for somebody to ruin humanity, why? It's just going to kill you too. So I'm hoping, Derek, I'm hoping and praying that we're heading to utopia, baby,
I
where
like the way
everybody can
you're
be famous.
I like the way you're brandishing your rose quartz skin roller while you get excited.
I'm rolling out the jaw tension, you know.
Oh, does that
That's a lot
work?
of D. I don't know. That's what I use it for. Keeping it wholesome here on the superficial spirit. Before we dive into the real topic, Brittany knives. We usually save Brittany for the end, but man, I posted on Instagram today that, or not today, but over the weekend. I've been trying to take the weekends off of social media to like have a dopamine break. And on Monday, I opened my phone and I had like at least 5 different Brittany memes with the knives that people sent me. And I was so happy. And I made the thing. Thank you for everybody for sending me the Britney memes. I'm so happy. I'm the biggest Britney fan, you know, because people do. They're on top of sending me Britney shit because they know how much I love her. And somebody thought I was being sarcastic, but I wasn't. I was really happy. But those damn knives, bitch. Oh my God. Britney and the knives. That was quite. My cousin texted me. She said, I know you love Britney, but those knives are a little suspicious. And I went online and I watched it and I did not get a good feeling in my spirit and in my soul and in my heart. I was like, it's
Do
not
you
sitting well with me.
do you think they were props?
I don't know. I mean, I've never been around knives that were fake, but the way that they cling cling when she goes a cling 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 cling, I'm like, those are real. But my friend Matt, he said that fake knives are actually just really dull knives. So they're made the same, they just have no edge. This is the whole thing is like if they're fake, that means that Brittany was like, hey, I want fake knives to dance with. Can you go to this prop store? She named the prop store. Can you go get me the knives? They bring her the knives in a safe way. And then she records that. That would have to be what happens. But also, she wakes up one day, she sees Shakira performing with a knife on the MTV where she's like, I want to do that. And she goes to the kitchen and just gets the knives,
There's no
you
way
know?
in hell she said, "Go get me some prop knives so I can do this." Like there's no way. And if she did, why would they have brought back 2 different prop knives, both for use in the kitchen? What does she need kitchen prop knives for? One's this like chef's knife for chopping. The other one is like this pointy knife, right? The one has the rounded front and the other one has a point. They're different knives. Why would she have 2 different prop knives, both that look like they belong in a kitchen to dance with? That makes no sense. I do not think they were props. And yes, I understand that perhaps the prop knives, there are metal prop knives that are really dull. I don't think these are them. I just don't. And also, people are like, well, if Shakira dances with prop knives and we say Slay Queen, but Britney does it and she's mentally ill. I'm like, are we going to pretend that a very carefully choreographed and rehearsed dance with clearly prop knives that might not even have been metal, we don't know, is the same thing as what Britney did, which was clearly not a choreographed, clearly an improvised, jerky dance with not prop knives. I'm gonna say I don't think they're definitely not prop knives. I'm just gonna say it. Even if they are, they're not the same thing. This is not the same thing. One is a rehearsed performance for an award show. Another is this jerky lady who we already know has some issues spinning around yet again, doing an awkward looking dance in her living room. Even if we knew they were all, even if we knew across the board everyone was using prop knives here, Brittany would still look crazy.
Yeah. I think that's the missing, like the thing that nobody's really saying, at least from the fans, is like you can talk about it as like an apples to apples. Like, well, Shakira's a pop star, she was dancing with knives. Britney's a pop star, she was dancing with knives, and they're in different contexts. But the thing that I kind of ignored early on after Britney was freed from the conservatorship is like there's the way of talking about it, and then there's like the common sense thing. Like, look at the post. Look at what is happening. Does this seem like something that's normal to you, given the context of what you know about Britney? And I feel like the more we go down this path, the more I'm like, yeah, you can't really deny that there is something off-putting about it. Knives, real or fake aside, it's like you're seeing somebody that is I don't know, just doesn't seem well. And then in the comments, I don't think it was a comment on her Insta post because people she has disabled comments, but on one of the memes, people were saying, my uncle has bipolar and this is what a manic episode looks like. More than one person had said that, and it's the first time I had seen people actually equate like Britney with a specific mental condition. And not that she doesn't have the right to fucking dance around with knives, but it's just so bizarre. Like the whole thing is just weird. And then she posted a few days later some random tangent about Facetune. And I thought when I started reading it that she was going to be like talking about the knives, but she was like, people are judging me for using Facetune, but you know what? I don't care. I'm being creative. And I'm like, Brittany, that's not what people are saying. They're not saying anything about Facetune, honey. They're saying something about the knives and the dogs in the background. Like,
Yeah,
hello.
and that's just it. It's not just, oh, she could hurt herself with these knives. Oh, she's not allowed to do something creative. It's the desire to that's it's creepy to do that. It's creepy to film yourself in your living room doing the improvised dance and looking at the camera all sexy through these two knives and showing them to the camera and doing these stabbing motions. That's creepy. I don't care how safe it was. I don't care how, if you
Mhm.
can argue if she's a trained dancer for most of her life or not. I don't think she looks like she has much control over those knives, but regardless, her weird fetish to show herself being doing the sexy knife dance, that's the problem. It's a totally different context from what Shakira did.
And she also, a few posts before that, which I think she's taken down, said something like, all these people keep coming up to me in public and saying we've missed you, and she was like, fuck you, like I care. Don't I have the right to tell you people to fuck off or something? And I'm like, she doesn't care about fans. She does not care at all. Then she made this post about promoting the book that was so half-assed. It was like, hey, I'm putting the finishing touches on my book, can't wait for you to read it. It was like 30 seconds. She was in a private jet, I'm pretty sure. And it feels so detached. Like part of it is like you can't stop putting out this weird content on Instagram, but then at the same time you despise Hollywood and the attention that you get and the media's obsession with you. It's like it's very confusing, very, very confusing as a fan. And again, just to be really clear, she can do whatever she wants. There's no crime against posting weird things online. I think the narrative about Britney pushing back against Hollywood and the way people have treated her while also putting out this content is just very mixed messages to me. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, she can do whatever she wants, but that doesn't make it not weird and not scary. I don't know. Like people, she's a grown woman. She can dance with knives in her kitchen if she wants. Yes, but I would say anyone doing that is weird. I don't understand the point you're
Interesting
making.
choice. Interesting
You can
choice.
do anything. You can do
Yeah.
anything you want as an
Yeah.
adult. You can do anything. But
I,
but
I
some
did have
things are weird. Some things are weird choices to make. And that's what
yeah.
this is.
I did have a friend actually who started posting with knives, and I did message my other friend and said, something is not right with these posts with the knives. And then actually after that tea, his boyfriend died, not by stabbing, but something happened. And I was like, there is something about people posting with weapons that's a little unsettling. So love you, Brittany. A little curious. I think it's too late to talk about the knives in the book, but TBD, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, that would be great. Also want to be Brittany Knives for Halloween, but I don't want to walk around in white panties
But
because
I
that's
no
going to be
longer
cold.
care. I no longer care about her explanation for this weird stuff she's doing. What I want from the
Mm,
book is what we've talked about, what we all want. We want a bit of insight into the conservatorship. It would be great if she would reveal what her mental struggles are. I don't think she will, but we want some insight into Britney Spears, who she is. I don't want her lies about what she's doing in these Instagram posts. She's lying to us. She's lying. She doesn't care. She's being mean to her
yeah.
fans. I don't want to see any of that. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in any of that. That turns me off.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Strange times for Britney. So we'll see how this all unfolds. I can't stop talking about her. Okay, so I wanted to talk today about, well, two things. And the theme is kind of people's relationship with celebrity, with icons, with content creators, with people that they follow, and also how your online identity speaks to how you are feeling in real life. We've talked before on the show about the relationship between social media and connection, social media and spirituality, social media and general wellness. What does our relationship with this technology mean on a day-to-day basis? How does it make us feel about ourselves? How does it affect our real life relationships? Things like this. Um, I'm endlessly curious about it because I'm on the fence. I do think that there are benefits to creating connection, but I also think it's like an illusion of connection at the same time. And two things have sort of popped up recently. One, you've brought up Miranda. What's her last name?
Miranda Sings is the channel
Miranda
or the
Sings. Miranda
character.
Sings.
Yeah.
Yes. Miranda Sings. So I did some YouTubing to sort of remind myself, get familiar with that situation. And I think it's a great example of people of sort of celebrity taking advantage of fans. So I want to talk about that. And also this new trend on TikTok with NPCs where people are pretending to be NPCs. Yummy, 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 yummy. Like, thank you. I don't even know how to like recreate it. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Maxwell sent it to me when I first, like initially, and I was like, I don't even know what an NPC is, and I don't understand what I don't even know if it's a trend because people aren't caught people it seems like there are content creators on TikTok who sort of do it really really well, and then there are people who are making fun of those content creators. So those are the two things that I want to talk about. I watched a YouTube video um that theorized that the reason why people are um sort of diving deep into this NPC, I guess, it's not cosplay, but pretending to be NPCs is because they feel like meaningless about their lives. And if you think about NPCs, for people who don't know, and I was one of those people, NPCs are like anonymous characters in video games, right? Like they're like the person on the street, the bartender, the person who is not the main character that sort of just fills up space. And if you think of identifying with that, you are sort of looking around your real life, feeling like it has no meaning. And then you're embodying these NPCs on TikTok to bring them to life. And I thought it was a really interesting comparison. And I think it's even more interesting to compare that to Miranda Sings and how on one end of the spectrum, we're getting people who are hyper identifying with celebrities like Taylor Swift, Free Britney movement, and then somebody like Miranda Sings having this really young, loyal fan base, and how that opens the door to being taken advantage of. And then on the other end of the spectrum, people potentially feeling meaningless in their own lives. And instead of attaching to a person or a movement, they're identifying with this anonymous non-character of a video game. It's like, wow, what's happening with these people? What's happening? Derek, tell me what's happening.
Well, I don't think the phenomenon of people watching or engaging with so-called NPC TikTokers, I don't see that as having anything to do necessarily with people thinking their lives are meaningless and identifying with the NPCs and thinking that they are like one because their life is meaningless, because whatever the economy is, whatever, they can't buy a house, generation, gig economy, all that stuff. I don't think that doesn't, it seems like a reach to me. What it seems like to me instead is I'm thinking about what's called the male loneliness epidemic, the desire for like men to have these robot girlfriends, the emergence of more and more human like artificial intelligence. It's kind of fun to see artificial intelligence get more and more human like, but be a little bit off, be sort of quirky and robotic and cute. I see these things coming together. I see these as robot girlfriend, right? You put in the right inputs, you get out a certain response, and you can get that response repeatedly if you put in the same input. And that combined with the fact that like it's kind of fun to see a person acting like a robot or vice versa. It's kind of fun when the robots are sufficiently human-like that we can sort of feel like we have a relationship with them. So those are the things I see happening with the NPC TikTok thing. I don't know how we get from that to I'm watching this person do this because I feel like I'm an NPC. Like I don't. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like a
yeah.
reach. But how do you think? How is it that you think that NPCs relate exactly to the whole Miranda Sings relationship with celebrity? You said like people are attaching themselves now not to Miranda, but perhaps instead to these faux android type of
Yeah,
experiences.
Yeah, to me, I think they're commenting on people's relationship to technology. I mean, Miranda Sings is a real person, but she's a character, and NPCs are a part of a virtual experience. And I find the choice, maybe it's subconscious, maybe it's conscious, I don't know, to move in a direction towards NPC is interesting because to me, it's almost void of a character arc or an identity. It's sort of like the blankest slate you can be, just an anonymous character in a video game, and why somebody would choose to embody that as opposed to jumping onto a movement like Free Britney or a content creator like Miranda Sings is interesting. Like, I think both are speaking to maybe a lack of identity in the real world and feeling like you need to dive into the virtual space to grasp on something to give you a sense of like purpose or maybe even direction. Because with Miranda Sings, these people are super young. With NPCs, I don't know, the TikTok creators look like adults. I mean, they certainly don't look like adolescent to me. But that's what I think the relationship is these people diving deep into, if it's not a specific persona, it's an identity of some kind and what that says about them.
Sure. Okay. I see where that's going. Like, it's a technologically mediated, a social media mediated way of people, of parasocially projecting what the experience you want out of a relationship onto either a celebrity,
Mhm.
or in this case, perhaps the blankest sort of slate possible, these kind of robot girlfriend NPC chicks that you can kind of imagine your relationship with, right? I do see the parallel there that you're referring to when you explain it like that. Yeah, I mean, with Miranda, it's clear that a lot of people projected into this character something that turned out to not be true, right? They wanted her. Well, I don't know. I actually have no idea what people liked about Miranda Sings. I never thought it was funny, but I mean, for anyone who isn't caught up, really, really lightning fast version is she was this character. She, was a character who on YouTube thought she could sing really well, but she was a terrible singer, made up by this real human woman named Colleen Ballinger who can sing, and it turns out was in chat rooms with underage fans, sending them all kinds of inappropriate content. And she's been called a groomer, and that seems to be a fair way of describing Colleen Ballinger and the way she treated these kids, right? So that's so people clearly projected into Miranda something that they related to, and then onto Colleen, in a way that gave her a power over them that she could then exploit, right? And I guess gave them, I won't say gave them as in a victim blaming the kids, gave her power kind of sense, but she used the power that a celebrity inherently has over their audience, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've seen this too on a large scale. I mean, Taylor Swift is pretty famous for sicking her fans on people like saying one word or referencing something and her fans kind of going crazy and attacking people. So there's this imbalance of power. And with Miranda Sings, she had like these group chats with people and was like talking really, I mean, it sounds like the grooming was happening because in these chats, she was being extremely, I guess, vulnerable or explicit about her personal relationship. And then also asking questions like, are you a virgin? Sort of getting these kids to open up and also setting the tone of like, we can talk about anything, even sex. She made a lot of inappropriate remarks about her boyfriend or husband. Um, and it sort of gets these kids feeling even more connected to her. And then I think she sent them panties or something.
She sent someone
And
panties, yeah. And
yeah,
she
and
had
the
them take
fallout of that.
pictures. She had them take pictures with tampons in their mouths for some reason.
Right, right. Um, it's interesting, and I wonder, like, is when I hear grooming too, is like I immediately think sexual, like the intention behind it is to move in a sexual direction with vulnerable young people. And with Miranda Sings, when I was watching these YouTube videos, I'm like, is she a pedophile? Is that what she was thinking? Or was she just sort of delirious with power and was like, there's no boundaries? Because it's not uncommon for content creators to share their lives with people and be like, I'm going through a breakup, I'm depressed. But I think in the context of like making it hyper personal within this even more isolated private space with minors, is what crossed the line. But the grooming accusation, Is that specific to sex?
Well,
Am I
I don't
right to
think
think
so. I
that?
mean, I think the grooming part of what Colleen Ballinger did is this is choosing special fans to share this information with. She wasn't putting out vlogs and telling
Mm,
everyone this that anyone could
hmm.
access, including adults who were her fans. She chose special fans to have special relationships with. And then she used those relationships in ways that harmed them, right? Sending explicit content to them, having these inappropriate types of conversations. And then there was the kid named Adam McIntyre who she actually used to run one of her Twitter accounts. And then when he made a mistake, one that she had approved, she then treated him like she you know, he was outcast, and she kind of bullied him. And this is how you can harm a young impressionable child who thinks the world of you, right? So it's the specialness with which she treated these particular kids in her fandom. And that's the problem, is like I think a responsible celebrity or creator doesn't have a relationship with any fans. You know, not really.
Right.
Like someone like Lady Gaga talks about, I have a relationship with my fans. Well, she goes out and she shakes hands and she signs autographs, and then maybe she has some conversation. Right? There was the girl who had cancer or whatever. She became friends with. Okay, fine, but that woman was 34, I think. So it's like, you know, I think what you don't do is you don't answer their DMs, right? You don't make them feel special. You don't tell them secrets, right? Like that's the problematic stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a celebrity you can have a relationship with your fans that feels authentic.
In general,
Yeah, in general, but it's not like texting, like I'm breaking up with my boyfriend, I'm not having sex with him. Um, and interesting is
talk to me
like
about your periods, show me a
talk to me about your
tampon. Like, I mean,
oh
it
oh
was sexually inappropriate stuff. Now, does that mean that every attempt at or every like grooming scenario is one that results in sex or where the groomer desires sex? No, I don't think it is. I think all you have to do is use language that makes them feel special, and then, you know, and do things that are harmful, like using that closeness to do things that harm kids, right? Like sending that content, you know, bullying them after they disappoint you, et cetera, et cetera.
mhm. And this kid, what was his name? Cody Adam.
Adam McIntyre is the
Adam.
kid who she used to run social media for a bit until he messed
He
up.
came out a couple of times, and at first the fans were like, oh, like they dismissed him. But now it's taken more seriously. And then again, it turns into this other fan, almost like he cultivates his own, not fans, but this movement against Miranda, right? It's the shift from like loyalty to I'm gonna get you, rightfully so, because he was taken advantage of. And how this all ripples out to people online to either get behind, be outraged, or support. And it's just fascinating to me to see this all play out virtually. But it's real people's lives. Like he didn't know this person. He doesn't know these people that are supporting him or telling him he's a liar. Um, yeah, the fandom that I experienced when I was growing up was not virtual, and I don't know, I guess we don't know if it even matters. Like, does it matter if somebody is groomed online or in a virtual space or not? But these celebrities and content creators is like a new realm, or at least a new space of fame, right? It's not something that we've traditionally seen, and it really opens the door for this false vulnerability, or like the boundaries become really foggy when you're a content creator sharing your life with people, especially if your fans are super young. And then
Yeah,
the
and
identity that that does to the fans, like they're still developing their brains, right?
yeah, yeah, and they don't know better. They're just excited that their idol is giving them this attention, and they're not thinking it's weird that they would be interested in me, you know?
Yeah.
But it is weird. And um, you know, it got to a point like one of the worst. I mean, I don't know. No, I guess I won't, you know, stratify whose stories are the worst. I mean, they all got impacted pretty badly. But one person in particular, I think the person named, I want to say Ellie, was the one who was at a concert, and Miranda would pull people up on stage and talk about their outfits or whatever. I guess she mounted this girl on stage and spread her legs, and she was wearing this jumper, and then the sound people made a fart noise, and it was like a queef coming out of this little girl. You know what I mean? Like it's so think about it, right? You're this child who, you know, your idol is giving you attention. You're up on stage in front of everybody. How exciting. And then they do this sexually violating thing in front of thousands of people in the audience, and then it's on YouTube, and more than that is blowing up, right? So I mean, that's the problem. That's the problem when little kids are so excited. I mean, think about how violating and not only disappointing, I mean, that's the least of it, but how violating for someone who respects you and loves you, right?
Oh yeah. It just takes you down such a false sense of security and safety when somebody that you admire is not even asking you, sort of putting you in this position. What I'm thinking of is like when you go to a drag used to be like this. If you sat front row in a drag show, they would 100% pull you up on stage, try and get you to take off your clothes, force feed you alcohol to sort of loosen you up. But at least in that context, you're of age, but it still feels violating when you're like 18 and a 45-year-old drag queen is like, "Oh, you're cute. Take off your clothes." So to the extreme where I don't know how old Miranda Sings was at the time, and then having her fans be even younger. Yeah, it's wild. Is this actually being investigated criminally, or is it still living in YouTube right now?
I don't think there's anything legal happening with
Yeah.
it, but yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I
But
wonder if
I
it will
I
move
just
there.
I don't think I look, I never had heroes. This isn't bragging, but it's just true. I never had heroes as a kid, and I just don't think you should. I don't think heroes are a good thing. And this kind of even goes back a little bit to Britney Spears, right? Everyone investing in her while she was this perfect victim in the conservatorship, and all she had done was pop music they liked up until that point, and they didn't know anything about her. Everyone investing this perfect victimhood, this angelic, projecting this angelic view of her. And then when it turns out she's a real person, we go, "Oh, we're so disappointed. Look at what a crazy weirdo." We shouldn't have invested that in her in the first place. We shouldn't have heroes. We shouldn't make idols of these humans who it turns out have flaws, right? And sometimes who are, you know, predators as well in the case of Miranda. So I don't think
This
anyone
is
should have heroes like that.
I have a friend who messages me all the time about like new TikTokers or like new it girls or boys in like Hollywood. And I have so little interest, and I can't say enough how Britney's unraveling first when she shaved her head, and then the whole conservatorship thing, and now what she is, has completely ruined pop culture for me because I was exactly what you were saying. I was like, Britney is amazing. Britney is my hero. Britney is this, but she was just singing songs and she actually had no connection to her fans in the way that I thought she did. And even now, listening back to her music, she wasn't even singing about her damn life. Like she was just singing generic pop songs. And I think you're 100% right. That's why my disillusion with pop culture kind of came at the same time as my disillusionment with spirituality. Like you can't just manifest millions of dollars, and pop stars are just people, no matter how well they're branded. Um, is was a really hard lesson for me to learn, but important. Also, knowing people that have become famous since then and talking to them about what it's like, and also working with celebrity drag queens, is like it's all bullshit. Everything that you see in the media is essentially a lie. Maybe not in the lie in the sense that what's coming out of their mouth is a lie, but it's all being driven by capitalism, by getting you to buy something. So now, whenever I see something that I like, whenever I see something that's getting me excited online, I'm like, okay, this is just me selling me something. This is why when people are like, the Kardashians are amazing, they're sharing their lives. No, bitch, they are just a 20-year long commercial. That's it. That's it. They're a family of narcissists who want to be famous, who like being famous, and they're using this false connection to the general public to sell shit to you. They actually don't care on any level, I don't think, about the people that watch them. If they did, maybe they would give some of their billions of dollars away to help poor people. And I'm sure somebody will listen and be like, they do give money away. Kim Kardashian gets people out of jail. Okay, fine, whatever. Um, I just think the whole pop culture thing is bullshit. And this Miranda Sings thing is a great example of not meeting your idols and not putting too many eggs in one basket, bitch, because they are just people. And especially like with, oh my God, the way I would compare my podcast to like the podcast of people who are on TV and have millions and millions of followers is like a good example of how you can't compare to what real life is versus what life is like when you have millions of millions and millions of dollars behind you. God, people just need to take everything that I see with a grain of salt. Everything. It's not real. It's not real.
No, I mean, like things people do, it's okay to go out there and say, oh, I love this song. I love so and so's political activism or their opinions or whatever. But I see it like sometimes that's probably a mistake, but I look at the comment sections on YouTube or stuff. And if it's something I like, I look through and I'm just like, I'm always discouraged by the amount of people saying, you're perfect, you're beautiful, you look like a model, you look like Linda Evangelista, just like sucking dick, right, of their favorite content creators. And it's like, you can like the video, you can like what they do, you can talk about something in the video positively or whatever, you can give feedback, but like, I don't know, like, you just can't, I just cringe when I see people being like, you're doing it so much better than everyone else in media, you're this, you're that, you're the savior of, it's like, no, like this person, you will find out they raped somebody. I guarantee it. They always always raped somebody. Like, just slow down. Like, everybody's raped somebody, it turns out. Like, stop idolizing, because next you're gonna be embarrassed when the thing comes out that they've done. And there's always something, it seems.
It also is risky when people in a more, I guess I would say, socially aware time that we're living in, people who emerge as like thought leaders or activists on social media that end up being awful people behind the scenes. Yeah, it's a good lesson. And maybe that's just getting older, but us like content creators aren't necessarily talented, right? They sort of won the algorithm lottery and they become these celebrities. And at least with talent or like a craft, you have that to be a buffer between who you are and what you are engaging with your fans. But when you're a content creator sharing your life, not that that doesn't take skill and not that you can't perfect that skill, it becomes really hard to differentiate the person and the brand. So there you go.
But we have to.
Yeah. I want to go back to your idea about the robot, like the people being NPCs more as a response to people's curiosity with AI and AI becoming more human. That's really interesting. And the male loneliness thing. This has actually come up a few times. Not that I was seeking out, but things that I've heard on podcasts and on YouTube is this epidemic of male loneliness because it's changing when you're a white guy. I guess if you're just a straight man, a man in the world, what your relationship is with culture is changing really quickly. And the need, I don't know, I'm curious to hear you say more about this sort of like AI girlfriend or robot girlfriend, this need for something that's predictable, like you put in a response and you get it out exactly the way you need to, and that being a response to NPCs on TikTok. It's interesting. I heard this YouTuber saying, historically men's role in society was to provide, protect, and sort of be the leader of the family. But now with equity, women can make their own money. They don't need somebody to take care of them. They can raise kids on their own. They don't need a man. The idea that women are helpless is kind of going away. So a man's role is becoming a little bit more questionable. Like, how do you fit into the world if these traditional stereotypes are out the window and you're not filling those positions? It kind of puts it back on the man to self-identify and be like, what is it that I want to be? What is it that I need to be? And not everybody has the I guess, abilities, resources, or drive to, carve out their own path and be something brand new and unimagined. And I think the desire for like AI partner is a little unnerving, because instead of seeking it out in reality and finding out what it means to be this man in 2023, they're like, it's much easier to just have a robot.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's totally right. I hadn't really even thought of it that way myself, but I totally think that's it. I think for whether it's like the onus is on men or not to find out how to be men in the world, like, I mean, I think maybe it's on the narratives that need to change in order to like help encourage men, I guess. Like, I don't want to make it men's failure to like live in the world. I would rather put the blame on the narratives around maleness and manhood. But in light of the fact that those narratives aren't changing fast enough to like deal with this epidemic of male loneliness, I think you're right. What we have is, instead of adjusting or instead of changing or becoming, a successful man in the world, it's easier to get a robot girlfriend, right? I think that, I mean, on TikTok, we know that trad wives are pretty popular, right? These girls
What
who
is that?
they're these girl TikTokers who dress themselves up like a Betty Crocker type of 1950s housewife, and they have a pie or whatever, and they're like, I just want my man to make all the money while I tend the home, and they just
Mm.
kind of play up this trad
Hmm.
wife, meaning traditional wife,
Okay.
kind of thing, and that's popular with men. That's popular with these men who want it to be simpler to be with a woman, I guess, and who want their manhood to be something that's reflected by the submissiveness of their wife, as opposed to anything like something that makes it in their manhood inherent, as opposed to something they have to perform and are incapable of performing correctly, right? Which is more the case these days. So I see that
Interesting.
as similar, right? And the whole otaku, Japanese otaku, people literally wanting to marry androids type of thing, right? Real dolls being so popular with like nerdy Japanese gamers and all of this technology. This is all sort of internet based culture where I think the idea of a robot wife is attractive, or a trad wife, or I sort of see these all as similar, and I see the NPC as an extension of that. But also, I see it as potentially just being popular because it's kind of fun to see people act like
Yeah.
a video game character, right? I mean, it's kind of fun. Like there's also a bit of a fad, or there was a bit of a fad of a meme of like people acting like the character select screen in a fighting game, right? And just
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
so
I
I
saw
sort
that.
of that's just kind of fun to see. So I see this NPC thing as sort of a mix of all of that.
It's also like, oh God, I'm constantly like, what's behind this? What is the, deep and meaningful behind this superficial?
Oh, your mic. I think you just might have clicked your mic off. Say something.
Am I here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, I'm always looking for the deep and meaningful and the superficial, but like if we were to interview,
Wait. I think you might have turned your mic off and now the other, because this
okay,
sounds like
hang
how
on.
it sounded when we had the bad audio.
Okay, hang on. Yes, you're right. Here
Okay.
we go.
Nope, not that one.
Oh, it
Hang
sounds
on.
better now. It does.
It's weird. Hang on. Hello?
It sounds better. Can you hear?
I can, but
Okay.
I'm just wondering why hang on, give me a second. Weird. It sounds normal when I talk.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds
Okay.
like it did before.
Okay. Don't know what happened, but that's okay. Okay, what was I saying? Let me think. AI. Just wait, I'm gonna get there. Oh, yeah, like if we were gonna interview these people who are NPCs, emulating NPCs on TikTok, they're not going to be like, I'm doing this because I identify with it. They're just like, I'm doing it
Yeah.
to make money, to be popular, whatever. And then like more philosophical people, or people who are, interested in what's behind it, will sort of dive deeper, whether or not it's real. Going back to the article that I'm reading on AI, they referred to the company as being filled with true believers. And some people think that artificial general intelligence is actually not possible, and it's kind of stupid to pursue it. So they reference AI as like a cult, like the worship of what is possible with AI. And listening to you talk about people wanting robots to be their partners, or people looking for emotional connection in robots, is kind of giving me this like the idea is coming as I'm talking to you live, is like, I've been curious about how AI will affect spirituality, and I'm wondering if we will see the emergence of like some kind of AI worship or some kind of AI devotion, right? Like maybe we're not going to say I am devout, like I am not calling AI God, but slowly and surely it replaces the idea of God and becomes the purpose and the meaning, right? Like it can answer all my questions, it can tell me what the path is, it can connect me to the rest of the world, and it gives me a sense of something bigger than me. We may not use the words religion and spirituality, but already in this article, there are people in Silicon Valley that are like true believers. Like this is the future. Is that different than evangelists who are like the Bible is real?
The only way it's different is that you can actually interact with it and it will give you feedback, you know? So in a
So
way,
it's more real.
much better, actually. Yeah,
Oh
it'll
my
give you
God.
real tangible answers, probably from, you know, a plurality of of data, right? So it's much better than guessing or trying to use the Bible as the basis for that, right?
Oh my God. This is just
Or
like,
imagining that God is telling you to, you know, experiment medically on babies in Africa, like that documentary we might talk about in the future. Don't know if we have time.
holy. Yeah.
But
No, we won't go there today. We'll save that for next week. Or next time. I don't know if it will be next week, but that was good. I like diving deep into these weird social media trends, and AI is going to be something I want to talk about more and more because it is fucking, I really don't think we can predict how it's gonna go. We just don't know. Um, and I hope, dear God, that there are cults dedicated to AI, because I will join. I will sign up and I will become an AI socialite, or I will become something to do with AI.
will you like upload your consciousness if that becomes an option? Will you upload your consciousness to like the orbital cloud or whatever for eternity?
Oh my God. I
I
think
would.
if,
100%.
yeah, I'm thinking that I was gonna say if Evan would, I would, so that we could be together. It would be really scary to think you would end up in some kind of void. So I'd want to know what the pitch is. Like, am I living online to like live out my wildest dreams, or am I just going to be available for the people who miss me to log on and have a conversation with, virtual me? I guess I'd want to understand more what it means to live forever as consciousness. If it's eternal life in a similar way to what I'm experiencing now, only more enhanced and catered, I guess, because you would have the options to create the world. I don't see a problem with that. I would be scared of ending up in some kind of void or virtual nothingness.
See, in my mind, I get to experience like the digital environment where my consciousness is uploaded. But I guess that doesn't make a lot of sense because the earthly me, I can't transmit my consciousness into technology. That would just be a copy, but it would have all my memories. But I wouldn't necessarily be the me that experiences it. The copy would. So I would just die. And then there would just be a copy of me with all my memories, but it wouldn't be this me. So
No, it wouldn't be this you.
yeah.
And interesting, as I'm saying this again, I'm having all these revelations. Being virtual and being able to create your own reality, is that manifesting, bitch? Isn't that manifesting?
Is it
Going online. Oh my God. Okay, well, we got there today. I mean, look at God, heaven, and the afterlife all on TikTok, all
and
because of
technology can do
NPCs.
it all. Yeah.
I said, wouldn't it be a nice, like, I actually feel this way about death, having medically assisted death becoming more and more common. It's such a relief to know that if shit gets really bad, you can do that. You can have more control. And if you get diagnosed with something that's going to kill you, or even now with mental health, like mental health, I believe, is included in this. It just takes the mystery away, right? You can just do it if you need to.
I guess. I mean, I guess if that sounds appealing to someone who's suffering, then that's great. I think about death a lot and it scares me. So not appealing
Yeah.
to me.
Okay. Um, in the same way, potentially uploading your consciousness would alleviate for me the anxiety of like, well, what's going to happen? I'm glad that there are options emerging, TBD on their effects. Yeah, thanks for being here today, Big D.
Thanks for having me, Big P.
Oh my God,
The
this is
big
a family
P
show.
and D.
Okay.
But your big P in my D? No, I guess it would be the other way around.
Enough. There are children listening. I am not Miranda Sings. Goodbye.
Instantly groomed.